Welcome back to another video. It's another week in sim racing. It's another week in Le Mans Ultimate. I would love to tell you that it's been satisfying, exhilarating, exciting, but it hasn't. It's been one of those weeks where you just have the sim racing blues. Let me tell you all about it.
Bad luck, mate. You picked up some minor aero damage. Yellow flag. We think that Craig and Robin have spun out. Sector 2 is clear. The next car is Craig.
And there you go. That was highlights of round 2 of the VMS BP Tuning Contender Series, the Silver Split. This week, the second round in the series was a 40-minute sprint at Portimao, and I was hopeful going into round 2 that I was going to have a good week, at least a better week than the first. The first round at Sebring, I had good pace, not as good as I'd like it to be, but Sebring is one of those tracks where I usually do well. And in the race, I got up to 8th position by just keeping my nose clean, staying out of trouble. But I tripped over someone else's accident and had a DNF and dropped all the way back down to be classified, I think it was 13th. So as we come around to round 2, Portimao, I wanted to do so much better. I felt I had so much more pace than I demonstrated at round 1 in Sebring, and I wanted to get my first point on the board. And although I don't usually do well at Portimao, last season in the Le Mans Online Series Championship in the Multiclass Masters, I did find some pace. So I came positive, optimistic, so much so that I started practicing early in the week, and perhaps ironically that's why I had such a poor week of racing. And when I say a poor week, I mean poor, dissatisfying. I did the Multiclass Masters race in the Le Mans series on Thursday night, and I was half a second, maybe a second off my practice pace from the weekend, and as I said, earlier in the week. Now, in hindsight, it's most likely down to the fact that the practice sessions were a high grip and maybe it wasn't as hot, and the race session was low grip, and that's possibly where the pace went. But during the race, prior to the race, I just felt all out of sorts, discombobulated if you will. I just didn't feel comfortable, I didn't have a rhythm. I got to the end of the race and I just felt meh. So I focused all of my attentions on Portimao. What was convenient was it was the same location for the European Endurance Series this week as well, so it meant I could double up my practice, and I had really good pace for me at the beginning of the week. And again, come the actual race session Friday evening for the VMS Contender Series by BP Tuning, and my pace just disappeared. Again, I don't know if it's because I was practicing on a high grip track and it was then a low grip track for the race. I have no idea, but in the practice session I was all at sea. I felt clunky, I felt like I had no rhythm, I felt like I don't know, like my muscles were cold, like I was lethargic. I don't know if it was a long day at work, if it was a long week at work. Maybe I just don't race well on a school night, I don't know. But I went into the practice session feeling pessimistic, and that's not a good mentality to take into a race, let alone a league race where the competition is going to be so tight. And I've done a video before about the mentality of racing, especially the mentality in multi-class racing. So I should know better. I'll leave a link. You can go back and watch that if you haven't watched it before. But I should have known better. So I tried not to be melancholic. I went into the qualifying session and I did a reset, a mental reboot. And I qualified inside the top 10. I pulled out I don't know, a reasonable lap. I think it was my second lap of qualifying, or 45.8. I should have been at least 3, maybe 4 tenths faster, but at least I broke into the 45s. In practice, I couldn't get, I don't know, a low 46. It was just a bad set of circumstances to prepare for the race. But I was hopeful that a decent qualifying would shake off all of the blues I had, all of that pessimism, all of that being just completely and utterly disoriented. I was hoping the green lights would go and all of a sudden, eureka, I would be back in the game and I'd be able to race and competitively race to stay inside the top 10. That lasted all of, I don't know, 1, maybe 2 laps. And then from there on in, I realized that not only was I lacking in race pace, I wasn't comfortable in the car, and worst of all, I realized that I was heading up a train. As soon as I lost 1 position in the first couple of laps, I was hoping that I could at least stay on the tail of the guy that passed me. I was hoping that my tyres would warm up and I could race in the low mid 46s. It just never happened. 1 car caught me, passed me. The rest of the cars behind were probably frustrated that they'd been held up in this train behind this slow red McLaren, so they just went for every gap that they could see. At the time, you can imagine I was as salty as hell. I thought they were being overly aggressive, but in hindsight, I know that they weren't. Well, maybe they were, but it was understandable. They could see their chances of getting into the top 10, perhaps chasing after the top 5, slip away from them because I was holding them up on a track where overtaking needs cooperation. Otherwise, it's just a fender bending body panel nightmare. I swear my right rear quarter had more taps in it than, I don't know, I can't think of a really bad cliche. But I'm sure that I was carrying damage on the right rear quarter. Maybe it was placebo, but the car didn't feel right after the first tap. After the second tap, I was livid. After the third tap, I was just completely and utterly checked out of the race. And again, at the time, I had a red mist. I was angry, I was frustrated, not only with the other drivers who kept tapping me, but with myself because I knew I was racing poorly. I was also trying to be a clean racer, so when it looked like I thought someone had a run on me, I tried to make sure that I didn't react to their move and then, I don't know, throw a block late. I wanted to be clean, I wanted to leave the space, but what that was doing, I know, was giving off a passive, vulnerable body language to everybody behind me, which meant as soon as they saw a gap, as soon as they saw a moment's hesitation from me, bang, right up a drain pipe, they went for it. And I say it again, in hindsight, I don't blame them. At the time, I was thinking something completely different. I was thinking I'm just going to finish this race and go and start lobbing protests left, right and centre. But again, I truly don't believe anything was malicious. Perhaps some of it was a bit clumsy, perhaps some of it was a little bit rushed. However, again, I put it all down to me. I started the race in a bad mental place. I wasn't feeling positive. I didn't feel warmed up. I don't know why. I seriously gave thought to whether or not I should even continue in the series because I've known for years that I don't race well midweek. However, I really don't want to give up on this series. I've wanted to get back into league racing for quite some time, to get used to racing regular people on track, to learn how to race with them, to build up some mutual respect and have some really good, clean, hard racing. So I refuse to quit. I refuse to be pessimistic and melancholic about it. I just need to dust myself off and look forward to round 3. However, Round 2 was painful, it was brutal. Round 1 was bad enough, but round 2 I end up in this race fighting over the final points position, only to lose it with 2 laps to go, to then finish outside the points on the bubble in 11th place, 2 rounds in, 2 races under my belt, no points, no satisfaction, no highlights reel that I think I could look back on and say, that was brilliant, I'm doing really well in the VMS BP Tuning Contender Series Silver Split, nothing like that. Thus far, it's just been an embarrassment for me. I really need to do better in round 3. I'm hoping that I can just reboot, reset, and get myself into a position where I'm actually able to race looking forward. The same way that I do in the Le Mans Series Online Championship. In those races, I rarely have any shunts. I rarely come into contact with anybody else. And I think it's just because in those races, other than when I try to do it midweek, I'm comfortable, I'm confident, and I don't know. Maybe I'm just gaslighting myself. Maybe I just am having a bad week. Maybe I am just tired. Maybe I just need to, I don't know, go watch Netflix, watch some YouTube, have some good food, relax over the weekend, and come back in 2 weeks' time. How was your racing? How's your first 2 rounds of the VMS series gone so far? Are you satisfied? Are you dissatisfied? If you're not doing the series, if you're just racing Le Mans Ultimates Online Championships, or the daily races, or the weekly races, or the special events, how is your April going so far? What are you getting out of your racing? Are you having moments where you're thinking you should just throw in the towel, maybe even sell your kit and play, I don't know, Civilization instead? Or are you thinking, seriously, dude, it's just a bad run of results, shake it off, get back on track, and just have a good race next week out? It's just a game, don't take it too seriously. Where's your mind at? Let me know in the comments. If you don't mind a like, a share, a subscription, I'd really appreciate it. And for everybody in the VMS BP Tuning Contender Series, especially in the Silver Split, I hope you had a good round 2. I look forward to seeing you all on track again in round 3. And fingers crossed, I can get a good result. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Let's go.